Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Blue Lady Couture. This isn't the video I was intending to film this week, so I'm kind of doing this a little bit ad lib. But if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you would have seen what happened this week. And if you haven't, I will put the footage in now. Basically, our boiler ruptured on Monday night and sprayed scalding hot water across my studio. Yeah, now fortunately, I say fortunately, this was my downstairs studio, which is kind of my fitting room space, and I use it for storage for stock items and pieces that I use when I'm out at events doing trade shows. It's not my actual sewing studio, thank goodness, because I would have really cried if it had been my sewing studio. And as you can see, it was in a bit of a mess on Monday night. We currently have no boiler, which means we don't have any central heating in the house at the moment. And it is currently the coldest week of the year so far. We're currently hitting overnight temperatures are kind of -4, -5 degrees Celsius. Daytime temperatures, it's struggling to get up above 3 degrees Celsius at the moment. We've had snow. I mean, when the boiler actually ruptured on Monday night, it was actually snowing as well. And we were trying to in and out in this snowstorm, trying to sort out all this leaking water that was going everywhere. Yeah, so it's pretty chilly here. Now I know in the grand scheme of things, and it is kind of a first world problem not having central heating for a few days, but when you're used to having a kind of an ambient temperature in your house, to suddenly not have that can feel pretty chilly. I actually thought, you know what, I'm going to wear my Edwardian clothing all this week because it is lots of layers and therefore will hopefully keep me warmer. And as much as I would love to, you know, I could just stay in my big fluffy modern dressing gown, yeah, it's kind of, I want to try and make a little bit of effort, and I thought it would be an ideal opportunity for me to show you kind of my layers in kind of Edwardian clothing, and also, you know, as a little bit of a test really, how warm are those layers? Obviously in the Edwardian era, they didn't have central heating, so evidently, you know, they would have worn all these layers to keep warmer in the winter. So I've come down into the living room to film this because it is actually the warmest room in the house at the moment. Very fortunately, we have underfloor heating in the downstairs of the house, which, I'm sorry, we do have a grandfather clock, which is going to potentially chime the quarter hour. Yeah, we very fortunately do have underfloor heating throughout the house downstairs, which obviously just takes the edge off a little bit. And also the sun comes in here in the morning as well, so it does make this the warmest room in the house currently. Upstairs in our bedroom is pretty chilly. My sewing room and my husband's office, we're obviously working from home at the moment because we are still in lockdown. It's pretty chilly as well. So I'm going to do a little getting dressed montage for you now, showing you the layers that go into my late Edwardian. I say Edwardian, but I'm using that term very loosely in the sense that costume historians obviously push the Edwardian kind of era up to sort of 1914 and sort of the outbreak of World War I, because that's when fashions really changed kind of drastically. So often you hear Edwardian bandied about for sort of Titanic era, 1912, 1914, that kind of thing, even though it's not technically Edwardian by that point. Yeah, so but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to loosely refer to Edwardian. The particular style that I'm wearing today, sort of 1912, 1914 in date, it has a long line corset, it's the long sort of slim silhouette. Some of the other outfits I've worn this week will consist of a fuller skirt and petticoat. Obviously this is not pure Edwardian, this is kind of history bounding Edwardian as well. Obviously I am kind of living a modern life and doing modern things, and some things like the blouses and that I'm wearing are modern blouses that fit the aesthetic essentially, but the skirts, the petticoats, chemises, corsets are all handmade by me. be honest, zips aren't really common in 1914. They were actually they were actually invented in the 1870s, but you don't really see them come into fashion until sort of the 20s, 30s. But this skirt's a few years old, and I kind of made it before I kind of knew some of these things. Also, the chemise that I'm wearing underneath, it's technically my Victorian chemise, and if you saw my video on making my Regency stays, you'll know that I wore this chemise then as well. It just kind of, it's my go-to chemise that I wear kind of all the time. It's, yeah, it is what it is. So this belt is kind of more tissue bounding than a proper Edwardian kind of boned belt. But it's navy blue and it goes with the outfit, so yeah, you don't really see them lacing like this in the Edwardian period. But it's one of the ones that I made for my Christmas collection. So it's sparkly on the other side. But I don't think we need sparkles today. You can see I cheat. This side is already laced up, so I just need to do the one side. Oh, sneezing in a corset, yay. Hello. Fru. Hey. Fru. Come on in. Hello. Hello. Molly. Come on then. Molly. Oh, it's so bright in the sunshine. There's Molly. Yeah, so it's like -4 out here at the moment. Hey. Yeah, we have no heating and no studio at the moment, but that's kind of irrelevant because COVID, I can't do fittings anyway at the moment. But yeah, it's kind of out of action and it needs to be sorted out and tidied and dried out. Luckily nothing has been seriously affected in it. Sorry, excuse me, I'm just watching the bunnies to make sure they're behaving. It's a morning exercise at the moment, and yeah, I just thought while the sun's out and there's snow and the bunnies are running around. Hi Roo! So I'm wearing my 1914 skirt, my 1914 period, it's not original, it's a reproduction, cardigan that was made from a pattern in the Centenary Stitches knitting book. Not by me, I hasten to add, I don't do knitting. But yeah, I was very lucky to be given one of these, and I'm wearing a nice high-necked blouse and a boned corset belt as well. So yeah, trying to keep warm. On that note, I'm probably going to go in because my toes are starting to feel numb. So I've just popped down to the studio just to show you how it's looking today. So this is Friday, so we are nearly 5 days on from the great flood on Monday night. And as you can see, we have been so lucky when you consider how much water was on the floor in that footage that I filmed on Monday night. Yeah, we honestly thought we had lost the floor and the floor would have to be completely ripped up and replaced. But it looks like, you can see there, those are the carpet tiles that were on the floor. It looks like most of the water was held by them, because when we lifted the tiles up the next day, the wood underneath was actually not very wet. It was only kind of in between the gaps in between where the tiles butted up against each other. That's the only point really where water had kind of seeped through onto the boards underneath. Other than in this corner, which is directly under the offending boiler. Obviously that got the full force of the water kind of pouring onto it. So that is still a little bit damp in that corner, but we've got dehumidifiers and sort of heaters in here as well. The insurance guy did come out to us the next day, just to assess it and kind of see whether how much they would cover us for. They did initially offer to cover us for the full cost of the flooring and the carpets, the damaged laminate flooring patch you can see here as well. But yeah, they won't cover us for the boiler, and we had a big row with them because, okay, so the boiler is an old boiler. It's about 20 years old, but because of its age it was deemed as wear and tear, so they wouldn't cover us for a completely new boiler. They would potentially give us £250 towards a new boiler, which in the grand scheme of things is not a lot towards the cost of a new boiler, but it was something. But they started being really funny with us because we had essentially stopped the flow of water ourselves. We'd managed to basically isolate the boiler so it didn't just keep draining water, and the emergency insurance company's stance was that we shouldn't have touched it. We should have just left it to pour water over our floor for however long until a plumber could have come out to us. 16 hours after we had reported the issue to them, they still had not been able to find an oil heating engineer to come and look at our boiler. And then they started being funny about that we'd intervened and stopped and essentially we'd taken the front off the boiler and we'd stopped the water leaking. So yeah, so we basically told them to shove. And as you can see, once we'd lifted the carpet the next day, we feel that we don't need the entire floor replacing in here, or even part of the floor replacing. It will dry out on its own. Most of the water was absorbed by the carpet tiles, and then we had towels down on top of that, so we were soaking up water and kind of ferrying them outside to rinse them and putting them through the spin cycle on the washing machine, then relaying the towels, and we were repeating that sort of every few hours throughout that night and through the next day as well. And yeah, so I think we've saved the floor. So yeah, so we are very, very lucky. But as you can see, my studio is in a bit of a mess at the moment. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I'm not doing fittings at the moment because of the virus. I can't open the studio to clients for fittings, so there is at least that side of it. And as you can see, the rails were all up the far end of the room there as well, so any stock items that I had here was mostly out of the way. It was really kind of this central area of the floor and down here towards the boiler that kind of took the full brunt of the water. So yeah, so we have been very, very lucky, but I just thought I'd pop down here and update you so you can kind of see a comparison of sort of where we were. So it's the end of the day now, it's 5:15, so I have been in my Edwardian ensemble since 9:30 this morning. I think I filmed putting that on. And I'm still here, I'm still alive, the corset hasn't killed me. Yeah, it's been fine. I've been relatively warm all day. My hands have been a bit chilly, which is inevitable when you kind of sat still and you kind of, obviously doing sewing, I'm not really moving about very much. I'm going to go downstairs and get warmed up on underfloor heating. Yay, modern technology. And then tomorrow a new boiler is being fitted. I know, on a Saturday. Yeah, they're coming at 7:30 on a Saturday. So there's no lie-in for me this weekend. I'm gonna have a house of plumbers, which I'm not looking forward to in the middle of a pandemic, I have to say. Also, can we take a moment just to appreciate this sparkly vintage trim? How gorgeous is that? Look at those colours in there. I hope that shows up. So yeah, it's not just a black sort of glass beaded trim, it's got all these gorgeous kind of iridescent peacock colours in there. It's so pretty. Right, time for a cup of tea and toasty toes, and then it's pizza night and it's WandaVision night. So excited for that show. Oh yes. underfloor heating is just the best thing ever. But that's how cold it is, because the snow that we had 5 days ago is still here. And if you're familiar with the weather in England, when we get snow, we tend to get, you might get it for a couple of days, but normally it melts within, like the next day. As soon as the sun comes out, it melts. That's normally how snow works. But yeah, this is 5 days, and this is just ice. It's just not been able to melt. It's just so cold outside. And I know there are places where it is much colder, and I'm sorry if you can hear the kettle in the background. That's really bad. Vlogging. But yeah, it's cold. I want my heating back. So I think it's time to end the video there. We have heating back. We've had the plumbers in all day fitting our new boiler, and we finally have heating again this evening. So yeah, so just to sum up, I have spent 4 days pretty much in kind of Edwardian history bounding costume, and hopefully you'll have seen some of that footage in throughout the video, and I hope you found it interesting. When it comes to wearing a corset every day, it really doesn't bother me. I don't find it restrictive, and particularly not this longer line Edwardian corset. It doesn't have like a really cinched in waist on it. It just tends to kind of just streamline everything out. I think the only thing I find with it is because it is quite long and fitted over the hips, bending and pivoting, kind of, obviously you can't really bend at the waist, so you kind of try and pivot from the hips. It's not always easy to do that, but I think as you'll have seen from some of my footage, I clearly managed to, do household day-to-day chores perfectly well in it without too many issues. If you've got any questions, I'd love to see them in the comments down below, and I will try and do my best to answer them. As ever, thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed my little unusual kind of weekly vlog following everything that's happened this week. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up by clicking the little thumbs up icon down below, which would really help me and my channel out. You can also subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell somewhere up at the top as well, if you'd like to know when my next videos go out. You can also support this channel over on my Ko-fi account if you want to buy me a coffee for a couple of pounds. Again, just helps me keep on producing content. In the meantime, stay safe and warm wherever you guys are in the world, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Take care guys, bye!